BJ, how are you?
Hey, dude. I'm doing great. Thanks for joining me.
Of course.
How's it been being back home so far?
Being home has been good. It's funny, we just moved, so it's definitely a
Oh, really?
change. My parents bought a condo and sold the house, so it's different than being
Okay.
home usually is, but it's been pretty good so far.
Sure. I imagine it's a bit different. Where's the condo at? You still in Exeter area or where are you?
Yeah, the condo's about a mile and a half down the road in Stratham from where we used to live,
Okay. Cool.
so not far.
That's great. How's the knee doing so far?
The knee's been really good. I've been doing physical therapy for 2 to 3 weeks now, and everything's going pretty
Hmm.
well. I've been up in my flexion, so my knee can bend a little more here and there, so it's been nice.
That's good. So I like to make this pretty organic conversation. I don't know if you've listened to any of our past episode stuff, but let's start with you just kind of introducing yourself. You can say your name, where you're from, where you went to school, and where you're at now, and then kind of dive into, or I can ask you another question at that point, but I want to dive into really like early days, like where did you actually start playing basketball and like kind of build the story, all the way up to the current day. So
Sure.
let's start with a quick intro from you.
All right, so my name's Will Mollica. I'm from Stratham, New Hampshire. I've been a New Hampshire kid my entire life. I grew up in the Exeter school system, starting at Stratham Memorial School and then moving on to the Cooperative Middle School. After that, I attended St. Thomas Aquinas High School during the whole COVID pandemic era thing. My eighth grade year had got cut off, and I wasn't ready to do the online school because I'm a pretty active kid behind the computer. It
Mm,
wasn't a great thing for me back then.
yeah.
And so I went to the private Catholic school and had some mixed emotions, mixed feelings about it. I did have an older sister that was already there, so I was comfortable going to the school, but didn't know if I'd like it or not. Ended up falling in love with St. Thomas. The school was awesome, met a bunch of great people, and playing basketball there is really what got me to the next level of playing collegiate sports. I wasn't a collegiate athlete. Growing up, I was always a good athlete, but I was always a bit heavier set. I didn't have the speed, the quickness, agility, all that to think I could transfer it to the next level. And with some help with coaches and whatnot, I was able to make that next step my senior year of high school. But going back to the early days, I would say I first picked up a basketball was when my dad put the hoop up on the side of the house. I was probably 5 years old. He got one of those bison hoops that you can install onto the side of the house with the frame and adjust it with the what do you call it, the broom in the garage. You got to stick it in there and
Yeah.
prop the hoop up. So those
I
were
know what you're talking about.
yeah, that's
That's
where I
great.
really started playing basketball was with him out in the driveway. He was never a
Okay.
big basketball player, but
Hmm.
really got me into the fundamentals of the game and I fell in love with it from there.
That's cool. So what were your early days like on the team? I imagine you were going through like the Exeter Rec program. So started that. Did you do that in like fifth grade? I think they started probably in kindergarten. But what was your first time like in a program with that?
Yeah, so Stratham Rec had basketball every Saturday morning. We'd have a rec game from anywhere from 8 to 11 a.m. with all the
Yep.
different colored t-shirts. We'd play at the Memorial School, and my dad was always my coach. He came in and he was kind of the reason I kept showing up was it was nice to play for him and he kept me engaged and whatnot. And obviously being on the team with your friends is a good part, but just showing up to those every day was nice. I was always one of the better players on the court, but definitely a lot slower, and I had the height
Hmm.
advantage on everyone from an early age. But
Okay.
those days were good. I enjoyed playing at Stratham Memorial School.
That's great. So then fast forwarding, you go through like usually 5 or 6 years with the rec program. Maybe did they have like a good travel program at that point for Stratum? Like, did you get involved with that? And then they got a
Yes,
really strong program nowadays. I know a few of the coaches over there, but what
yeah,
was
we
that
were.
transition like from, I was think about the thresholds here as you go forward. Like, what was it like going from rec to travel team for the first time?
Sure. So, I think fifth grade was the first year of the Stratham Wolfpack. We had
There you
a travel program that I think had started relatively like a few years before my fifth grade year. Glenn Pafford, Evan Pafford played at Exeter. He's a Stratham kid. His dad had coached the team the year before, and then they were looking for a new coach and my dad and Rob Cartwright, another Stratham guy, had stepped up and offered to coach the team. So it was
Yeah.
different. That was the first team that I played for that you had to try out. And obviously, I didn't know my dad was going to be the coach before the tryout, but going to the
Hmm.
tryout for the first time was, to be honest, like it was scary. I was a fifth grade kid. I'm going in. You don't know if you're going to get cut, if you're going to be able to get playing time, if you're just going to be on the team, or if you're going to end up being one of the better players. And
Yeah.
I was lucky enough to go in there and end up being one of the better players, but just the adversity of having to go through something where you don't know what the outcome's going to be until you do it definitely
Yeah.
shapes who you are as a person for sure.
Sure. I think it's a good first experience at that age because some kids will go along, without having a tryout team until middle school or even high school in some cases. And then it's like a big shock. It's like I've been on the rock program, like just kind of cruising along, making every team, and then suddenly it's really competitive. So I think I'm a big fan of like early experiences with that. It's like kind of get used to it. You'll make a team, you'll get cut from a team now and then, and like, yeah, this is okay. And it becomes less scary over time. But yeah, I definitely know the feeling. I think a lot of kids get that sense. Is like, gosh, I don't know what's going to happen here. I'm going in blind to a situation I've never experienced. Can be kind of tough.
Yeah,
Um, so
totally.
then, so then, what was it like going to like the middle school tryouts? I guess fast forwarding another couple years, you're in seventh grade at CMS at that point. Like, what was that like? Going into the middle school team for the first time.
A lot more kids, because Stratham
Yeah,
is just one town, and then you take CMS, and you have six towns together, and you go into the gym, and you can see where there's a lot more talent, a lot more kids to pull from. So the seventh grade team at CMS was coached by Ms. Cookish, and the other team was Mr. Holly. And essentially, it wasn't A and B. These teams were supposed to be like blue and white, even split halfway through. They had what they would consider a little draft, and yeah, that tryout was definitely a little more stressful
mm,
than the fifth grade team because there were a lot more kids that were getting cut, just a lot more kids in general, and I ended up getting on Mr. Holly's team and building that relationship with him. And he taught me a lot about the game, but not just about the game, what it's going to take to go into the eighth grade tryout and make sure that when you try out for the eighth grade team, that you're going to make the A team and you have to hold yourself to these standards. And he definitely taught me a lot in middle school about being a leader and how being a leader and using your voice in the right way it's very productive. And when you're negative and you use your voice in the wrong way and you have bad body language, it's very counterproductive compared to being
mm,
positive and making that next step to the A team because the more you're vocal and the more you're positive, energy is contagious. When you're on a
yeah.
team where everyone is positive and upbeat and the vibes are good, you're gonna be a better team. That's just typically how
Mm.
it goes. And when you're negative and down, those seasons can be pretty hard. And I think the most important thing is just keeping your head up. And for me, finding my voice as a leader, he really helped me find my voice on that seventh grade team.
That's cool. So not only a great experience, despite going into a huge cabal of kids, like you said, it's I've heard as high as 60 right now in the CMS, first year tryout, seventh grade. It's a lot of competition for a few spots on the squad, so it can be definitely nerve-wracking. But that's cool. So it sounded like that was a big level up. What was it like? Like, what do you think progressed the most, or what skill improved the most from fifth grade to seventh grade to kind of set you up to make that team?
I would say my understanding of people, like it wasn't just a basketball thing for me. I've always been wicked smart with the game. Like I understand the game of basketball when I was that age. I felt like I understood the game of basketball at a lot higher of a level compared to all the kids around me. And
Yeah.
being able to use my brain and kind of share the information with everyone else and be like, oh, like you could be over in
Mm,
the corner, but you should lift on defense because that's where the pass is going to be. A
mm,
lot of kids didn't have that at that age, and being able to take the knowledge I had and then put it into words helped a lot of kids. And you saw a lot more kids on my team flourish compared to the other seventh grade team. We were a lot better than the other team. And I thought
mm.
that my leadership and kind of being an anchor on the defensive end was helpful to a lot of kids on my team.
That's cool. I love the saying "wicked smart." That's something that was foreign to me coming from the South. When I moved up here, it's like I adopted that. It's like wicked smart is just
Oh yeah.
classic. Um, the thing that occurs to me I just wrote a blog series this winter actually on kind of all the satellite words that go around confidence because that's kind of the niche that we have adopted in the last 5 years. And kind of what you just described just reminded me of that. It's like a lot of parents want their player to be aggressive. And I think of that as like the individual skill of, imposing your will on the game aggressively. Like you can go do stuff. But then what I landed on was what the word assertive. I kind of created my own definition almost, but like I think of assertive as like the meta skill above that is like assertive is I'm now pulling my whole team with me to go impose our will as a team on this game, right? And like what you're talking about with leadership skills, really where I landed is like, yes, you can be aggressive, you could be in your own silo, doing your own thing and getting 20 points a game, but you might lose still. Assertive is the next kind of evolution of thinking and well, I think maturity in a lot of ways too is like I'm now going to be assertively leading and directing my teammates to make this whole team experience leveled up. And doing that in seventh grade is pretty incredible. It's cool to see or to hear about.
Yeah.
Um, that's awesome. So tell me about the eighth grade experience then. What was it like going from the seventh grade team? You got two equal teams to then trying out for that A team, like the top of the pyramid in middle school, right there.
So once after that seventh grade season, I was pretty confident in my ability that as long as I keep shooting the ball and I don't lose all my skills overnight and I keep using my voice, that being on the eighth grade A team was pretty much reality at that point. It was coached by Steph Lewis, who's over at Phillips Exeter now. He's a great guy. I learned
Yeah.
a lot from him and a lot about him that I had never known before. And he was my first coach that he was honest, he was upfront, and he was my first yeller. I hadn't had a coach that was a yeller before, and he would come into practice some days in a great mood, shooting hoops, doing push-ups, and other days he might have been having a bad day, and he'd let you hear about it if you made a mistake.
Mm.
So just having that level of he held us to a level of accountability that I don't think I had been held to before until that moment, and it was kind of eye-opening as he had with his career, played football and been a professional athlete, and he understood accountability from a young age. And I think him being able to take his knowledge and prior experiences and insert them into us, like we may have not known at the moment why he was yelling or why he sub so and so out or why he did this, but there was always a reason in his head. Like he's
Mm.
not just a basketball guy, he was a sports guy, and he understood that being on the middle school team going into high school is going to be a big step. Like you're going to be on the A team in middle school and then probably get put on the freshman or if you're lucky, the JV team in high school. So he knew it was a lot of character building that needed to happen to make sure that when kids got to the high school, all your confidence didn't just deflate because you didn't make varsity as a freshman.
Sure. Oh, that's good. It's a lot of tempering expectations there. Like, what should you be striving for? Uh, oh, that's good. I know Stefan. He's a Nottingham guy, actually. So
Mhm.
his son Amari grew up in the Nottingham rec program when I was involved in coordinating that. And yeah, really good guy. Actually played. I first met him, I think, on a men's league team at the Room, like it's probably 10 years ago now. But yeah, definitely a good guy. Knows his stuff and like superior athlete. Like being a football guy, he could step into our pickup games in Nottingham and just kill us all with his basketball skills too.
Oh
It's
yeah, he was killing us at middle. He was
it's
still
funny.
dunking. And when we were on the
Yeah,
middle school team, he'd come in and throw it down in the gym and he's hitting half court shots. He just all around
yeah.
athlete.
You get some instant credibility as a coach when you can do that as an athlete yourself.
Oh
Like
yeah.
demonstrate it at a high level. That's cool. So then tell me about the transition from eighth grade to high school. I forget, did you do a year at Exeter before you moved to St. Thomas, or did you go straight into freshman year at St. Thomas?
Went straight into freshman year at St. Thomas.
Okay.
At CMS, I had gotten through the end of the basketball season, and about March that year is where March 2020 is where COVID cut us off for the rest of the school year.
That's right.
Academically,
So end of eighth grade year, it was when that went down. Okay.
Mhm. And I
Yeah.
came home and was just sitting around doing one assignment a week for each class, a lot of clicking through the computer, pretty much a whole
Mm.
lot of nothing. And my parents were they were a little bit concerned. My sister was at St. Thomas her freshman year and COVID had cut them off, but they were doing Zooms just like this, like all classes met live and you had to be there or there would be a punishment. And they held the students accountable. And my parents saw that. And when Exeter High School had announced that public schools weren't going back to school in the fall and everything was going to be remote, or you could go in 2 days a week, whatever it was, it didn't really meet the standard of what they had at the time, especially seeing how I handled myself behind the computer doing my schoolwork.
Yeah.
So they sent me to St. Thomas my freshman year, and we were wearing masks. And I remember getting contact traced for COVID probably 5 times that freshman year and sent home to quarantine for a week and a half, 2 weeks. But
Wow.
it was a super good
Yeah.
experience. I was timid going in there. I didn't feel like I had lost my voice, but there was a point I was nervous. I was going to a new environment. Pretty much half or more than half the kids that go to St. Thomas are St. Pat's, Sacred Heart, St. Mary's, all Catholic elementary and middle school educations. And going there as a public school kid, you felt like you stuck out a little bit, but at the same time, I say I wouldn't regret anything, any decision I've made towards going to St. Thomas that freshman year, being at school in person and being able to have that social aspect and being able to even play basketball still freshman year. I made the JV team and being able to go out there and have that experience and meeting the coaches up there was definitely a good twist compared to being behind the computer.
Yeah. No, that's great. And I want to say it was that fall that we first met you, right? So we started working together the fall, winter of 2020, I guess, right as you were entering that freshman season, St. Thomas.
Yeah.
Um, that's cool. Um, yeah, so then take me through the rest of your St. Thomas years. You made JV the freshman year. Did you jump to varsity the following year as a sophomore
The
at that
following
point, right?
year, yes.
Yeah.
So I was coached by Pat Hero on the JV team, and towards the end of the varsity season, they had three of their best players go down with COVID going into the
Mm,
playoffs, and I didn't get called up. I thought I was the best player on the JV team, but I didn't get called
mm,
up to the varsity team, and that kind of it lit a fire under me in a way. So going into sophomore year, Sean Murphy was the head coach and great guy. We had a good group of guys. It was
yeah.
myself, Ethan Berg, Vinny Seminelli, Reese Rogers, Brady Rogers, Devin Paquette, a bunch of good guys. And I
Mm,
found myself coming off the bench. And as a sophomore, I'm not complaining about that, but I thought there was always one step above. And then I think one game, Ethan Berg he twisted his ankle and went down, and I got the start. I got to go out there and show them that I do belong here. And I think I had a 15-point game up at Messinic High School, and it was a great confidence booster going in there and doing that. And I learned a lot from Ethan Berg with him being out a few games. He taught me a lot, and that really boosted my confidence. And I knew that I had to get in a lot better of shape because I'm out there playing, given it's Division 3, it's still varsity sports, and I wasn't in good shape at all. I should have been
mm.
probably on the bench still, but Sean gave me the chance and told me that if I come back next year, that I could definitely be a starter on the team, but it's going to take a lot of work in the off season to getting better and getting in better shape and being able to run for 32 minutes with these guys and not be all winded halfway through the game.
It's a lot more intense when you make that jump to varsity level, just the pace of play. There's a lot of players hit that wall pretty quick.
Oh yeah,
That's cool. Ethan Berg's my boy. He did a lot of work with me through his middle school all the way through high school, and I still stay in touch with him now and then. He's a great guy. It's
great
a
guy.
good
He got me
good
through a lot in
throwback.
high school.
Yeah, you had some good squads in those seasons.
Yeah.
That's cool. So then talk to me about when your ambition leveled up to where you really thought you could make a run at playing college basketball. Like I'm always curious on when that vision expands. It's kind of like I can't see beyond high school until I make the freshman team. But then somewhere it's usually from freshman to junior, something happens where it's like, oh, I think I could actually do this, or I want to do this. So when did that happen for you?
Sure. So junior year came around and we had a squad. It was Brady Rogers, Reese Rogers, myself, AJ Reinerson. We were top heavy. We had a good bench, but we were pretty top heavy, but we had some We had some off the court, on the court issues. We had issues about who, like, I've always been a big team player and I've never put myself above the team, and not none of those guys did, but we had a lot of shot makers on our team, and
Mm.
that caused rifts in a program, and it's not anyone's fault or on purpose, but it's a big learning experience for myself having to step in and get in the middle and be like, all right, well, how many shots do you expect to take tonight? And how many shots do you expect to take tonight? Well, we're only going to take 60 to 70 shots, so we need to find like a mix in the middle and figure out who's going to be handling the ball more. And that junior year was a tough year. We had Dave Morissette had just come in as the athletic director and taken over the basketball team, and he saw potential with our group. And we had a great season. We lost a couple close games we should have won, and we made it to the state semifinals and went down 26 in the second quarter. And
Mm.
we went into
Wow.
halftime, and it was tough in that locker room. I won't lie to you. There was a lot of emotion, raw emotion, people telling each other how they feel. And then I had a moment in the locker room where I felt like I could be a leader, and I stepped up and said, "Hey guys, we may be down 26, but there's still 16 minutes left. We got to go out there and we got to give it our all." And we cut it to 9 in the third quarter, we're down 9 points with there's zero point 0.4 seconds on the clock, and Zach Thompson from Mascoma Valley catches it at the volleyball line, and it was already tipped by one of our players, so the clock should have started, and he caught it
Mm.
at the volleyball line over his head and threw it in off the glass, and their student section went crazy. We're down 12, given it's still 12 points, but all the air deflated out of us right there. Everything like
Wow.
their fans were going nuts. Our fans are can't believe that happened. We couldn't believe that the clock hadn't started. And
Mm.
that moment right there was pretty much like we went out in the fourth quarter and we fought, but the season ended right there. We had 8 minutes left, but we had no momentum, no energy. Everyone was heads in their hands. And it was a tough moment, but walking off that court my junior season, I remember I was pretty emotional and I was frustrated because I thought we had the best team to take down the Guilford Golden Eagles, who was Jalen and Isaiah Reese, two freak athletes, and
Yeah.
we didn't get it done. And Mascoma ended up going on to get beat by Guilford by 25 or 30 points. And
Mm.
Dave Morissette embraced me and he told me that with a lot of work this offseason and however much you put into it is what you're going to get out of it. So the more time and effort you give me, the better time you're going to have next year. And you're not going to be walking off the court like this at Goffstown High School. We're going to be going to Keene State next Saturday night at 8 o'clock. So I would say
Mm.
that was my defining moment where I put my foot down and I said, okay, I didn't know college basketball was reality at this point, but that I was going to start taking this more seriously going into my senior year, knowing I only have one more chance. Because you go into it freshman year, you're like, all right, I got 3 more years. Then you got 2 more years. And now I'm sitting there, I got one more season, and that's it.
Yeah.
So,
So what did you do in that off season period from junior year to senior year? Like what did you do and what changed for you the most?
yes, I met my cousin was working out at the rim. They had the weight room on the far side of the rim,
Yeah.
and a guy with the company LXV, his name was Patrick Carney. He used to be an offensive lineman in the NFL, started a weight training program in there and
Okay.
had memberships where you could get key access to the building 24/7. So I took that opportunity and said, I'm going to invest in myself. And I got the membership and I started lifting weights with my cousin. We started doing cardio, like running from one end of the rim all the way to the other, doing wind sprints. And then I had the opportunity to have all the basketball courts right there. And that's when
Hmm.
I would go in there. If I had a long day, it wasn't, I could do it tomorrow. Like I stopped doing the tomorrow because tomorrow may never come. That was
Mm.
my new mindset. It was if you're going to do it, you got to do it today.
Yeah.
So I fell in love with strength and conditioning, and I think it was from June of that summer going into the tryout in October, I lost 38 pounds and I had put some muscle definition on my body. And when I showed up to the tryout in the fall, Dave Morissette had the biggest smile on his face knowing that we had a chance to go out there and do something pretty special.
That's awesome. That's really
So
cool.
the
So it
tough
was
part,
kind of just an opportunity, right? It was like having access to that space where you could just go as much as you wanted to and do as much work as you had the capacity for.
Oh
Right?
yeah,
It's
that space saved me.
interesting how big a difference that can make. Yeah, that's cool. I bet Coach Morissette did have that big grin on his face. Losing 38 pounds and being in top shape to enter your senior season, like that's a game changer. So then, how did the senior season go? I don't know that
So
story.
we got to school in August, and I had found out that, I mean, I had played basketball with Brady Rogers since I was in fifth grade. We had been on the same travel team that his dad would coach through middle school and pretty much throughout high
Yeah,
school. We played a lot of AAU tournaments together, and I found out he was going to
yeah.
go back to Exeter for his senior season,
Hmm.
and he wasn't going to be joining us, and that was it was deflating in itself. That was probably my best friend on the court. We had great chemistry. We got along well, but I knew he wanted to go do his thing. And so I said, I'm not going to go back to Exeter. I thought about going back to Exeter. I gave it a day's thought and I said, I'm going to stay here and do what I have to do. And I was lucky enough that at my junior year, we had practice canceled for snow, but Manchester Memorial was still willing to make the bus ride out to Exeter High School. And I trooped over to the game to watch a couple of my friends play. And I see Scott and Cole McClure sitting in the bleachers. So I go talk to him and I say hello and I introduce
Hmm.
myself. And my little brother Joey had played basketball with Cole his whole life. So
Yeah,
we knew each other there, a familiar face. And he was talking about how Cole, I went to the Herringfield school and they don't know if he wants to go to Exeter and go to the public school. And I told him that if he wants to give private school a shot, that he should get in touch with the admissions office at St. Thomas because I was unsure about private school and ended up
yeah.
being one of the best opportunities I ever took. So I show up to school in
That's
the
cool.
fall and there's little Cole McClure, freshman in the hallway, and we ended
That's
up
great.
forming a great relationship my senior year. He was an
Really?
inexperienced freshman guard, and he was super quiet, and I'm the super
Yeah,
vocal senior. I'm forward, he's point guard, the pick and roll. We ended up forming a pretty strong connection where he would look at me and I could look at him and know exactly where he wanted it, where he wanted me to go, where I knew he was going. And we
that's
spent
cool.
hours on hours after school in the fall trying to develop that and make sure we knew exactly what was going to happen in every situation.
Yeah, that's awesome. Another really great kid. Good throwback for me. He was actually one of my first one-on-one students when he was in like second grade when I first moved to New Hampshire. Like I was working with the Integrity Hoops program and doing, one-on-one workouts where I could find gym space on my own. And, he started and like stayed with me through like sixth grade before he really took off. And like now he's over at Phillips Exeter and like killing it. And
Oh, he's
cool.
killing it. I couldn't be more proud of that kid.
Cool kid. It's great to know that you guys had a great connection there. I didn't even know about that. That's awesome.
So yeah, he
Uh,
came in and senior year he
yeah.
was my point guard. We had a pretty stacked team. We had our top eight guys could all play we could guard 1 through 5 wherever we needed to. We got James Allen. He came in my senior year. He was a senior, came in from New York. His dad was the head coach at Army and
Mm,
then got the associate head coaching job at UNH. And instead of going to Oyster River High School in Durham, he was more on the Dover side. And so he looked into St. Thomas and again, probably the best choice he ever made. We became great buddies. And his dad now is the head coach at Emory and Henry down in Virginia, where
okay.
James plays on the team for him.
Nice. That's really cool. So how did that senior season play out? How far did you guys make it in the playoff? Like what was the culmination of senior year for you?
The senior season was one I'll never forget. We started off the year, we won 5 games straight. We thought we were all that, and then the last game going into Christmas break was Conant High School in Jaffrey, New Hampshire was coming to town, and we knew they in the preseason rankings they had ranked them. I think they had ranked us one and them two, but we didn't
Okay.
really look into all that much, and we weren't cocky, but we were confident. We knew that wherever we go into play that we're going to go in there and give it our best shot. We were a different kind of team though. We were pretty fast paced, get the ball up, run and gun. If you're open, shoot it. And if you're not, get the ball to Cole and we'll settle into a set. And Conant High
Mm,
School was very different in the idea that New Hampshire doesn't have a shot clock and
mm,
they held the ball. And I remember
mm.
the first possession of that game, they held the ball for about a minute and 20 seconds
Oh
and
man.
they were grit and grind, and we lost to them. at home 29-28 in a
Wow.
32-minute basketball game. I remember coming down with
Wow.
about a minute and 40 seconds left, and I missed a layup that could have put us up 30-29. And that was the last shot that we got all game.
That
So
is probably the most frustrating thing to experience as a player when you're used to run and gun and fast paced play. Yeah.
so
What
that
do you
was
think about
devastating.
the topic of a shot clock in high school basketball? Like now that you're playing with one in college, like how do you see that?
Need it. New Hampshire
Need
has to
it.
put one. They have to put one in, whether it's 35 seconds or 40 seconds. There has to be. We can't have minute-long possessions anymore.
Yeah.
It slows the game down, and I think it becomes less exciting for the players and the fans, and it's
Yeah.
not as engaging.
Yeah. What did you notice like making that jump to playing with a shot clock in college? Like, did you feel like you were behind? I'm sure maybe you have a couple teammates from other states that do have a shot clock and like played their whole high school career with that. Like, how do you think that impacted you?
It was weird. I remember just walking into the college gym and looking up and seeing the shot clock and kind of side-eyeing it and being like, "Whoa, we only have 30 seconds to score the ball here," and then
Yeah.
30 seconds felt like it got longer and longer as the year went on. I would look up at the shot clock and maybe it's already at 5 or 6. And I'm like, oh, damn. And then by the end of my freshman year, we had started to play with a faster pace and we really kind of forgot about the shot clock. Like if we're in the last 5 seconds of the shot clock, we did something wrong.
That's what I tend to see too. Is like, people talk about different lengths that they could make it. It's like, the NBA does 24 and they figure it out very often before 24 is even close to running out. Like it's pretty easy to do once you're in that mindset. So yeah, it's interesting. All right, so then tell me I guess the end of that season. You talked about, I guess that was like your sixth game. You were 5-0 going into Conant and got beaten with the holding the ball method. But how did that season end up for you?
Second half of the season went great. We ended up going, I think, 16-1 in the regular season. That was our only loss. And
Nice.
we had drawn a home playoff game. We got the first round bye, and then we drew Belmont High School at St. Thomas in the first round. And they had two big fellas, my teammate now up at Plymouth, Keegan Martinez, and
Mm,
they had another kid, Anakin Underhill, who's actually he's a very good baseball player. He pitches at Sacred Heart University now. He was about
nice.
6'6", 230. Keegan's all of 6'5" with long arms, and people had talked about all year that Belmont's size might be an issue and this and that. And Dave's alma mater is Plymouth State. Tony Martinez, Belmont's coach, his alma mater is Plymouth State. And so it's two Plymouth guys going at it. And
Yeah.
it was a great basketball game. We ended up winning that game by I think 20 points. We took away all their post play. We just denied the post and put some pressure on them, and they didn't really know what to do and respond. And given the following year, they ended up going on to win the state championship, which I think I tell Keegan all the time. I think I did you a favor in that quarterfinal game
Mm,
because that's exactly what Mascoma Valley had done to me.
mm, yeah.
And so we beat them. We were on our high horse, and we look who we drew in the semifinal, and it was Mascoma Valley at Bow High School. And that was like, wow, all right, this is full circle. It really, that whole week preparing for that game, it had taken me back to last year where I was on the court and I was frustrated with myself. And I look back and I said, wow, it's a lot different now. Our thing was we don't talk about last year. We don't remember last year. We got a different team, new identity, new personality, all that. So we didn't really think about the game all that much from last year, but we had a chip on our shoulder. And when we walked in there, we knew that we were going to beat those guys, and we didn't want to beat them. We wanted to beat them by 30. And we went in there. I remember we walked into the gym, and they're a blue collar school, and they all buzzed their heads for the game, and they're sitting there on the bleachers, like mean mugging us as we walk in our suits, and we're all dressed up, like ready to go. And um, yeah, some of those kids were chirping us as we're walking to the locker room, and we just knew it had to
Mm,
be go time. And when we got out on the court, it was a slow start. James Allen had hit three threes in the first quarter to keep us afloat, but we weren't playing to our identity. They had taken us out of our game. And the second quarter came along, and Cole McClure probably hit a three-pointer from 26 feet out. He was way behind that high school 3-point line, and he hit it, and the place
Yeah.
went nuts. And I pointed at him, and as soon as that shot went down, I said, "Let's go, baby! Let's start running this thing up." And we started
Mhm.
running it up in the second and third quarter.
Nice.
We took off, and it was not only a great feeling to beat those guys, but there were a few guys on that team that I have played against in the past, and especially the year before, and it was all smiles, and we had in the fourth quarter, I had the opportunity to cap it off on the fast break and throw down a two-handed dunk, which I got a technical foul on for hanging onto the rim, but that was probably,
Wow,
that was one of the highlights of my high school career, was just having that feeling of, wow, like this place is loud and we're up 20 and we're going to the state championship. There wasn't really a better feeling than that.
that's awesome. Yeah.
And the state championship was at Keene State at 8 o'clock on a Saturday night, and Conant High School was playing Kearsarge Regional right on the same court that we had just played on after. So the locker rooms at Bow were, you would walk in and there were split locker rooms. There was a bathroom and then there's one locker room here and one locker room here. And
Mm.
you walk in and we're fired up. We got the speaker going, everyone's yelling. We're going to the championship, and we look over and the Conant guys were our only loss are sitting over there in their locker room. They're like, "Oh, what's it like up there? Is it loud?" And we're like, "Oh, we don't know. Maybe we'll see you next Saturday." And we
Mm.
got the opportunity to see them at Keene State the following Saturday, and we knew it wasn't going to be the same game that the first two playoff games were, where we nearly scored, it was 60 or 70 points both games. We knew this was going to be like the first meeting we had with them, grit and grind. Eric Saucier, who now coaches at Bow High School, coached them, and he was a great coach, great game plan, had his guys all working together. Everyone was in their spots, and they had a really talented squad. But we knew they're going to hold the ball, and the opening tip went. They held the ball for 1 minute and 7 seconds, the first possession of the game. And I was like, all right, this is how
Mm.
this is going to go.
Yeah. So how'd you guys adjust compared to the first matchup? Like, how do you defeat a team that's holding the ball? What was your
Um,
strategy there?
we kind of knew we had to take our shots and take our chances. We're not going to be able to hold the ball just like they do, but at the same time, it's a game of runs, and we had to wait and wait, and we had to make sure, like our whole thing was, we're not letting them go on a run. So we had to
Mm.
make sure no turnovers by the half court. They can't get out in transition. And when we settle in on defense, we're just gonna wall up. No, don't go for this. Go for the loose ball, but don't try to jump the passing lane. Keep your composure, sit back. Like, don't get on your heels, but really sit back and just embrace the fact that they're gonna hold the ball, and we just got to wall up and own up. And that's pretty much what we did.
Yeah. So the more defensive mindset and just reducing your errors and not letting them go on a run. And it's a low possession game like that. Makes
Exactly.
sense.
We knew
That's
we had to
cool.
find a run at some point, and we ended up, I think we found a run in the third quarter where we had scored 7 straight points. And we knew, like, all right, we're going up. We're going into the fourth quarter up six. They might not score 6 points in the fourth quarter. We
Yeah.
might just be able to hold it off like this. So we knew
Right.
defense
This
was
is
going to
end
be
game
key.
already, right? With 8 minutes to play. Like this is four possessions each with Vader holding the
Exactly, like
ball. Yeah.
play keep away. And
Yeah.
so the moment in the fourth quarter where we hadn't had a play all year where our five-man was setting a flare screen for Cole. It was always get Cole the ball, and
Mm.
they were overplaying and they were sending like two off the flare, so the screener's guy would go. And we had kind of picked up on that, so I dropped, and my other buddy, our other forward, Carson, went up and set a flare for Cole, and he caught it in front of our student section, was wide open for three and hit it. And that was, Conan hadn't hit a three all game. And we were like, all right, this kid showed up. He was legit. And Cole was nails in the championship. I was by far like a 14-year-old kid going in and scoring 20 of the 38 points we had in that game. He was unbelievable.
Wow. Yeah. That's awesome. So you guys ended up winning the state championship,
We
wrapping
ended up
up your senior year,
winning 38-34. Yeah.
38-34. You got a good memory. There's a lot of good details here.
Oh, yeah.
I know. I know it's always a blur for me at the end of the season. Like we won. I can't remember exactly what happened because it all went by so fast. But this is great. Documenting history here. So then take me to what happened. When did you get in touch with Plymouth State? When did you meet Coach Novick, and how did that all come about to make the jump to play college basketball?
Okay, so when I knew I was going to be able to play college basketball was 3 games into the season. We had played Prospect Mountain High School, and I scored 24 points in 2 quarters and didn't play in the second half because we were up 40.
Mm,
And Dave had pulled me aside and said, I got an email from Plymouth State, Norwich University, and a few other schools, and they want to come watch you. They want to watch you play, but I don't. He didn't want to tell me when they were going to come and watch. He didn't want that additional pressure. He goes, you just go out there and you play your game.
hmm
And we played in the Oyster River Christmas tournament, which was a great opportunity as a D3 program to really, we got the chance to show off our skills a little bit. We're playing against D1 schools. I remember
Yeah.
first round of the tournament, we got to play Spalding High School and we beat them. Or was it Spalding that year? No, first game was against Keene High School, and they had Javon Messiah, Jamal Stanley. They had a really good D1 program, and they were supposed to be good.
Yeah.
And I remember at the end of regulation hitting a shot to send it to overtime. And then ultimately in overtime, we had 2 seconds left, and they threw the inbound pass over the block, and I caught it, turned to the middle, and with my left hand put it in for the win. And after the game, it was pretty much a blur after the game. I'm standing there. After every game, I go up, I give my mom a hug, say hi to her, thanks for coming to the game. Whoever else was there talking to my people. And I
Mm,
never, it was just always parents and friends. I never had
yeah.
coaches come up to me. And so Coach Novick comes up to me and starts talking to me. And then I had Paul Booth come up to me from Norwich University, and I had Southern Maine, their head coach, had come up and talked to me, and Alex Burt from Great Bay came up and talked to me, and I realized like, all right, well, just had 6 college coaches sitting here watching me play a basketball game. That's pretty cool.
That
And
is.
they asked, when are you guys going to play again? We ended up playing Winnicott the next day at 2 o'clock. I said, why don't you guys just all come back? It'll be great. Can watch us
Hmm
play again. We get a chance to take down another D1 school. And we're down 17 at half to Winnicott. All right, like maybe we lose with this one and we go in the losers bracket and play all the other lower division schools. But Dave came into the locker room and he was pretty fired up and just told us like, hey, like Cole, you're an Exeter guy. Will, you're an Exeter guy. My little brother Joey, you're an Exeter guy, and I'm an Exeter. Dave as himself's an Exeter guy and said, well, we
Right.
don't we
Yeah.
don't lose to Winnicott. We're not doing that. And we went out and ended up beating them. We won by 15, I think, at the end of the game. We destroyed them
Wow.
in the second half. It was fun to watch.
That's awesome. Yeah. Showing out when you're playing against the D1 teams. That's really cool.
Exactly. So all those
Uh,
coaches were there the next day. They came back and not all of them, but a few of them. And Coach Novick had stuck around and he ended up watching that game. And then he showed up the next day for the championship game against Dover, where we were up 6 points with a minute and 20 seconds to go and ended up blowing the game on a poor
mm,
closeout. And Amari Lewis hit a game-winning layup to push the green wave above us, and that was St. Thomas's in Dover. It's a crosstown rivalry, and there would have been nothing better to take down the D1 school in town and go 3-0 on the
mm.
weekend and really show that as a D3 school that we can play. We got a bunch of kids
Yeah.
that can play, and it stunk that we lost. And then I talked to Coach Novick again, and pretty much throughout the rest of the year, he watched almost every single game and stayed in touch with me. And that feeling as a player of this guy cares about me. He's reaching out to me after the game, not only about my performance, but how was dinner with your family after the game? And it just showed the open door policy that he has in Plymouth and really made me fall in love with the program and what he has going on up there because it's bigger than basketball. It's about making sure everyone is getting along on and off the court and mentally you're doing all right.
Cool. So then talk to me about your first couple seasons now at Plymouth. What's been the good, the bad, and the ugly going through that experience, being a
Sure.
college player?
Um, just the change to college is crazy. Like moving in there and being all by yourself for the first time with just a roommate is it's a change, and I didn't know at first like if it was good, if it was bad. I had definitely been through the ups and downs of like maybe I'm not good enough to do this, or maybe I'm just not in the right place. And then as soon as we had started the in-season workouts, I guess I had found my place. I had a really good fall going into my freshman year, and I was the first freshman, I think, out of our six that was called up to play and practice on. We had like green and white, and green was the starters and the first couple guys off the bench, and they had pulled me up to the green squad, and it was a great feeling knowing that, hey, I'm the first freshman that's getting called up, and I might get playing time, but it's also you're the guy with the target on your back. You're the
Mm.
freshman that all the other freshmen are going to start gunning for. So
Yeah.
that was great. It started like the practices got more intense because we have Jaden Pena from Nashua North, and we have James Thomas from Muscoma Valley, and Brady Hullen from Connecticut. And all those guys think they're just as good as like we want playing time too. So that's when
Yeah.
practices started heating up. And in high school, we had never had a fight in practice. We had never had where the coach just sits back and watches, and it got heated. Like there were days where it
Mm.
was we got thrown out of practice as a team. We had guys fighting. We had this, we had that, but the next level, it's a lot more serious than you think, but at the same
Yeah.
time, it makes it that much more fun as a competitive
Mm.
guy.
Mm. That's cool. So then you went through that freshman year. Did you end up starting, or where did you land in your freshman squad? Like, what was that season like for you?
We had Eli Swanson played at the Holderness School, and he was a senior. He was he was the power forward kid just like me. He had played at Interlakes High School previously, and so he was a D3 kid. He understood where I was coming from and all that. And Kevin Newton Delgado, another D3 guy from Hopkinton, were the two forwards. They were both seniors above me in the depth chart. And coach had told me, and I had pretty much known going into the season, you may play 0 minutes, 0 minutes, 0 minutes. Then you might get a game where they get into foul trouble and you get 12, and then you're back down to zero, and then you might get five again. And then when conference play comes around, nothing's guaranteed. We're going to play the top guys as much as we can. And if you fit in, you fit in. But if you don't, you don't. And I
Yeah.
remember I had never been on that side of the spectrum. Like I had never been,
Mm.
I might not play a minute tonight. That was
Yeah.
a weird feeling because in high
Yeah.
school, JV team, and you end up getting pulled up to varsity. I played every game I was there. And my
Yeah.
first game of my college career, I didn't touch the court and just sat there and watched. And it was an awkward feeling. And then second game of the year, I ended up going in and getting 9 minutes, and I scored 9 points in 9 minutes. And I was like, all right, well,
Nice.
maybe I'm here, maybe I can do this. And then the following game, didn't see the court.
Yeah.
So mentally, that's
Yeah.
such a battle going through the ups and downs and being able to like, you just have to accept the fact that you're not gonna be able to play in every game, and that's okay as a player. But what can you do to
Mm.
take the next step to get yourself out there and be able to be one
Yeah.
of the full-time guys and be able to play a lot?
Right. Yeah. And being ready, like I know what you're talking about. The emotional up and down of that is like I'm so used to being on the court involved, an impact player every game I've been my whole career. And here I am, not touching the floor for a single minute. And then,
Exactly.
it's the same at every level, I think, all the way down to the fifth grade travel team is like having to be ready so that when you do get your 2 minutes, you have to be that impact player. And like, showing out and being 9 points in 9 minutes definitely hits the bar, but trying to do that consistently, like every time I'm in, I get 2 minutes, can I get 2 points and make stuff happen and like not be down on myself or, just be unengaged on the bench when, I know I may not even touch the floor. And
Mhm.
that's probably the biggest mental battle that any player can go through.
Exactly. That
So
was, you
how did,
said
yeah, go ahead.
being engaged on the bench is one thing that you said that that was my one, like, that's what I took away from the whole thing was if I can't be in the game, how much of an impact can I make being on the sideline and
Yeah.
being as loud as I can and making sure everyone's into it and relaying the information that maybe the guys on the court can't see. And I thought that
Yeah.
being able to make that impact. Like I was our bench leader, I was the bench mob. I made sure that I had everyone on the bench engaged, and we were into it for the guys that were playing and the seniors, and we made sure that as young guys that we made everything worth it for them. And that
Yeah.
was, I ended up getting, we had team awards and I got a team spirit award at the end of the year. And it was just for the guy, it goes a long way for guys on the court. And
Yeah.
to show that these guys aren't playing, but we show up every day and we care just as much as they do, if not more.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. So then how did that season play out freshman year? Where did that all
Um,
land for you?
I played the first half of the year's non-conference games, and I ended up getting minutes here and there. And then when the conference play came around, coach sat me down and said, "All right, like you're probably not going to play a lot." And I was used as I would go in there. And Rhode Island College had a big guy who's about 6'8", 250, but he couldn't shoot a free throw to save his life. So coach would send me in there and be like, "Foul him." Like Eli and Kevin can't foul out, but you can go in and
Mm,
use 3 or 4 fouls in 4 minutes. And I had those moments, and then Eli had gone through an injury through the conference play, and I ended up seeing some minutes my freshman year in conference play. And I'll tell you, non-conference play compared to conference, like playing in the LEC conference play, we're usually a top seven, top eight D3 conference in the year in the country every year, and it was no
mm,
joke. Those guys are so much bigger, faster, stronger, smarter than anyone I had ever played against before, and it was a wake-up call. Like, hey, if you want to be a conference player in the LEC, you got to start taking this even more seriously if you want to get
mm,
legit minutes and end up being like a Kevin or an Eli.
mm,
So following year, so freshman year it ended, we had missed the playoffs and I had taken like that was my first like I'm a winning player. I love winning and that was the first time like, hey, you're not gonna be able to compete for a championship. You guys are being sent home. We had 2 games at the end of the year that didn't matter because we were already out of it and playing those games was a
mm,
struggle and that's where I got to see the court even a little more. And I learned a lot in those 2 games just in conference play. Those were 2 of the only games I got to play in and it was a huge step for me going into the off season knowing that if you're going to be a leader of this team, something's got to give in the off season. So I started getting the guys together and working out and just trying to figure out how I could make a difference because you never know in the college game who they're going to bring in, who's going to transfer in, who are they going to recruit, who's going to leave, who's going to do
mm.
this. And
Right.
I ended up getting the opportunity my sophomore year to come in, and we had lost a few guys, a core, like we had lost 5 of our core guys, 4 out of 5
Mm.
starters, and our 6 man all left or
Wow.
graduated. And so it was a new group, and it was a struggle for me to fit in. Like I was so used to having a core group in high school, and then I got close to the core group in college, and just like that, after one season, everyone's gone.
Mm. Yeah.
And my
And you don't have
roommate,
any continuity even from one season to the next. It's tough. It's
exactly.
start feels like starting from scratch,
Yeah.
after one season. That's really tough.
So
Mm.
I tried going into my sophomore year this year. I definitely tried to use my voice even more, but not just use my voice on the bench, but I wanted to become the leader of our group. And I had worked at that, whether it was in the weight room, the classroom, off the court, on the court, just making sure everyone had good grades, everyone was doing all right. I'd go get dinner with some of the freshmen, just making sure they're fitting in because I knew what it was like being in their shoes.
Mm.
And when it was time for coach to announce the captains, he announced that one of our grad student transfers was going to be a captain, and then our point guard Torin, who was already a 2-time captain, got named a captain for the 3rd time. And that had kind of like I was a sophomore, and it might have been arrogant to think that that should have been my captain spot, and I thought that I had done enough to earn that, but it was also kind of a blessing at the same time to show that I didn't do enough, and there's
Mm.
always more that can be done. So all year. I made sure that on the court and off the court, I set the example and I set the bar high for myself just to show Coach Novick that, hey, I'm not going to take I took it personally that you chose him to be a captain over me, and I'm going to show you each and every day why that I deserve that spot. And at the end of the season, with about 5 games left, we had a conversation about my leadership and whatnot. And he had told me, we had talked about, he's like, just making sure you're coming back next year. And I was like, yeah, I love it up here. This is my home. You guys are great to me. He's like, all right, you're going to be like, you could be a third captain for the last 5 games of the year, but you're going to be the captain of next year's squad. And That's a great feeling. It's still a great feeling sitting here talking to you about it. Like all the
Yeah.
leadership that I had learned, whether it's from Steph Lewis, whether it's from how to put the hoop up in the driveway with my dad and making sure to put it back down when I was done. Like all
Mm,
the leadership stuff and camaraderie that I had learned over the years had just like it paid off. I'm going to be the captain of a college basketball team next year, and that was not even a reality I saw my sophomore year of high school. I didn't even have that like thought of playing college basketball until I went into my senior year. And now that I get to
yeah,
be the captain of a program in my home state, it feels pretty damn good.
that's awesome, dude. Good for you. What a cool journey. Thanks for
Yeah.
sharing all that. I like to wrap up every podcast with three specific questions. So, first one is, what do you think has worked well for you over your career? Like overall, if you were to pick one thing that's kind of had the best leverage impact for your development and your progress, what would that be?
Um, I would say just this little saying that repetition breeds confidence or
Mm,
repetition breeds excellence and excellence breeds confidence because I think confidence is the number one thing for me that when I'm on the court and I'm not confident, I see that my game goes into a place where it's just not as good as when I'm confident. I feel like I'm at the top of my game, and I think waking up every day and just being able to find the confidence in yourself, whether it's how you dress, how you appear, how you act. I think just being confident overall as a human being is the number one overall thing to having success on the court and most of all having success off the court and being a great human being.
cool. I want to make sure I remember that correctly. Repetition breeds excellence, and excellence breeds confidence.
Yeah, so I have to look back on it.
Cool.
Repetition breeds confidence, confidence breeds excellence.
Okay. I got it backwards then. That's good. I think confidence is a big umbrella. We talk about it a lot with players and with parents, and like it's somewhat ambiguous. Like I think it means different things to different people. But I think there's a lot to the repetition and the I've started thinking about it as like a stack of certainty that becomes confidence. And then I was talking about aggressiveness earlier. Like if you're confident, that has to happen before you can go be aggressive. And you got to be an aggressive individual player before you can be assertive and like lead your team. And it sounds
Hmm.
like you've really done all of that at multiple different layers of the competition. It's pretty cool to hear about. All right,
Trying
what's
my
the
best.
opposite? What do you think has not worked for you? What do you think is something you've tried, some situation you were in, like stuff that maybe people advise you to do that you were just like, no, this doesn't work for me. Like I didn't get the results that I wanted from doing it that way.
A good question. A
Yeah.
tough question. You got my gears turning here.
Yeah.
Something that didn't work. I would say trying to compare yourself to others. I think that
Mm,
when you like, I mean, you can have a favorite NBA player, and I think studying the game is great and looking at taking moves from people and whatnot. But when you compare yourself to another player or compare yourself to another individual, like that diminishes your confidence. You're taking a hit at your confidence by comparing yourself to anyone in any other way because at the end of the day, we're all
yeah.
unique. We're all here for a different reason and we're all working. We could be working towards a common goal, but at the end of the day, my individual goals are going to be different than the guy sitting in the locker next to me. So I think
Yeah.
comparing my situation or my skill set or really anything to another person is diminishing and it's negative and it brings you down.
Mm. Yeah, I think that's a great one. There's a framework that I borrowed from a business coach I followed. He calls it the gap and the gain, which is kind of my favorite way to remember that idea. Is like the gap is like you staring at your ideal or staring at someone else and how much progress they've made, and it's like the horizon. Like you might change who your ideal is over time, and it's always way out there in the future that you can't really ever reach it. It's like the horizon that you're walking toward. And the
Mhm.
gain is just looking backwards. Like, did I get better than yesterday? Yes. Then I should have confidence. I can just keep doing that every day. And like my progress is ensured going infinitely into the future if I just keep looking backwards at my progress and keep striving toward that.
I like that a
I
lot.
think that's a great one. Comparing yourself to others has not worked for you.
No.
Then the last question is, what's your advice for players or parents of players, who's most of our audience? 10 to 14-year-old age group, if you think back on like all the steps that happened for you over time, like what would you advise parents and players to be doing, or how would you advise them to be thinking about their basketball journey starting at that age?
Sure. I would say one big thing is play where you're wanted and
Mm,
surround yourself with like individuals and like-minded people. Don't surround yourself with kids that are going to bring you down or like all negative. Like I hate being negative. I hate the idea of I'm a big positivity guy and I think play where you're wanted. Like if I were to
mm,
go over and try out for an AAU program and it was all like maybe it doesn't feel like home here. Like I'm a big feeling of like, okay, this feels like home. Like where I went to
mhm.
St. Thomas, I felt like I was wanted. I felt good there. I felt like home. Plymouth
Yeah.
is in my 2 years here is the same way. So the big thing is surround yourself with that positivity and that energy where you show up every day and you want to keep doing it. You need to find that
Yeah.
environment. And I think growing up in the Seacoast, I found that environment at Journeyman basketball. That was my big thing.
Mm,
I love
yeah.
Journeyman, and I felt every time I walked in the gym there was somebody with a smile on their face, someone coming up to say hello. Like you just felt welcomed, you felt warm, and you were wanted there. And so that, as a kid, you may not tell your parents this, but that goes a long way. Like if you're wanted
Yeah.
there and you feel comfortable in an environment, that's where you should be. Whether it's for me, it was journeyman basketball. I played journeyman select AAU my senior year.
Mm,
And could I have gone and tried out for Middlesex Magic? Could I have gone and tried out for Mass Rivals? Sure. But I was comfortable enough and I felt wanted at journeyman. So that was I didn't want to be one in a crowd. I wanted to be looked
yeah.
at and treated like I belonged there.
Yeah. And despite that, you still ended up playing college basketball, which the
Exactly.
whole AAU system would say there's no way you would ever play college basketball if you didn't go on the Adidas circuit, highest level team, and travel all over the place, right? But I'm a big believer that if you're good enough, coaches will find you, like you experienced. Like Oyster River tournament, you got six guys showing up watching you because you're a capable basketball player. That's all it takes. Turns
The
out college
opportunity
coaches are looking
to
for that. You don't have to really go be exposed and travel all over the world to get that experience,
Mhm.
get that exposure. Cool. Well, it's been a great conversation. Well, I appreciate you sharing your whole story with us. Anything else you want to leave off with?
Um, I would say for the kids listening out there, it's not about averaging 20 points a game and all the flashy moves and being the best kid on the court. It's about being a great teammate and taking all these experiences and don't take them for granted because time goes by quick and the more you wish for the future to come, the faster the time's going to go. So live in the present, enjoy your middle school, enjoy your high school days, and yeah, don't take any opportunity for granted. Whether you want to wake up and you don't want to go to practice that day, wake up and go because I miss going to high school practice every day and form that friendship and brotherhood with the guys on your team because those are the guys you're going to want to surround yourself with for the rest of your life.
Yeah, that's good advice. Awesome, dude. Well, thanks for your time today. It's been great.
Of
Look
course,
forward
PJ.
to seeing you on the court soon.
Likewise, I'm ready to be back out there. I'm getting fired up.
Awesome. All right, dude. Have a good rest of your day.
You as well. Thank you again.
All right. Bye.